Now, let's come on then to the Investigatory Powers Amendment Bill. Well, the question is, what is this all about? Well, of course, we know that in this country we have some pretty draconian investigatory powers legislation in place that allows all kinds of unpleasant surveillance. It's called the Snooper's Charter, of course, by many people, but it has been amended. And so here's Tom Tugendhat, the Security Minister. He's saying, first, to reassure those who may have been alarmed by some of the recent commentary, Britain is secure, and to remind people of the extraordinary security we have through both our being in NATO and our being a nuclear power. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with snooping, but anyway, he went on to say, these changes mean that not only will our citizens be better protected from serious dangers such as terrorism and child sexual abuse online, their privacy will be better protected too. So my question is he naive? Does he not understand the legislation that he's just amended and given approval to the amendments for? Or is he lying through his teeth? I don't know the answer to that, but let's just look at in detail what they have been talking about. So first of all, the government has decided to reduce what have already been extremely weak protections against security services using our data illegally. And just to remind everybody, security services have been using our data illegally for quite some time. And the whole point of the Investigatory Powers Act in the first place was to effectively retrospectively legalize what they were doing and continue to do. So they're breaking the rules left, right and centre, and this reduces the protections even further. Government has removed a reasonable expectation of privacy. So there is no expectation of privacy as far as the government is concerned on behalf of any member of the general public. The government has not explained why reduction of privacy is necessary rather than just being convenient for them. It potentially permits bulk data collection of facial images and social media data. That, of course, is an intention because we know that live facial recognition is being tested and is intended to be rolled out by the police, but also social media data as well. And if you remember, I can't remember whether it was Friday's program or Wednesday's last week, we were talking about the use of facial images to ascertain or to identify people's political leanings and automating that process. We go on here, absolutely permits bulk data collection of internet connection data. Well, that's the case with the Investigatory Powers Act in general, but this takes it a step further and expands the range of politicians who can authorize the surveillance of other politicians. This is quite amazing to me that no politicians seem to be particularly concerned about this, but requires tech companies to inform government of any plans to strengthen security or privacy features in their software. This is a direct attack on end-to-end encryption. And this is one of the main features of these amendments, is to try to roll back on end-to-end encryption that's already out there. It permits government vetoing such security or privacy features. So tech companies will have to inform the government of any plans to strengthen security, and then the government can say, not in this country, mate. So that is in itself a dangerous situation, in my opinion. Enables the Secretary of State to require tech companies to provide services or facilities for the purposes of facilitating or assisting an intelligence service to carry out its functions, and prevents tech companies from disclosing such services or facilities to anyone without permission of the Secretary of State. So they can instruct a tech company to open a gateway for the intelligence agencies to look at the communications of a particular individual or individuals or group, but they're not allowed to tell anyone, including the individuals or the group, that surveillance is going on. Now, the National Crime Agency has been campaigning on the issue of end-to-end encryption for years. So this is going back to 2018. This is a National Strategic Assessment of Serious and Organised Crime. And they said in that document, now the majority of internet traffic is encrypted and publicly available. That's their typo. Publicly available mobile device apps offer end-to-end encryption as standard. While this means enhanced privacy for the users, the use of encryption is impacting on law enforcement's ability to collect intelligence and evidence. So they were complaining about that 6 years ago. And then this week, or in the last few days, the NCA plus others released the joint declaration of European police chiefs. But of course, we're out of the EU now, aren't we? And they say in this, two key capabilities are crucial to supporting online safety. First, the ability of the technology companies to provide to law enforcement investigations in response to lawful authority with strong safeguards and oversight. I think that's also a typo, but anyway, the data of suspected criminals on their service. This is what is known as lawful access. Second, the ability of technology companies to proactively identify illegal and harmful activity on their platforms. This is especially true in regards to detecting users who have sexual interest in children, exchange images of abuse, and seek to commit contact sexual offences. So the child abuse narrative continues to be used to cynically, in my opinion, to push this forward. We are therefore deeply concerned, they said, that end-to-end encryption is being rolled out in a way that will undermine both of these capabilities. Companies will not be able to respond effectively to a lawful authority, nor will they be able to identify or report illegal activity on their platforms. As a result, we will simply not be able to keep the public safe. And of course, this was the narrative that we were receiving during COVID as well. We've got to do away with our freedoms, with our privacy, with all these kinds of things in the name of public safety. And this continues to be the sort of trope that they roll out in order to try to convince us to accept this bulk data collection and this mass surveillance. So I just wanted to sort of end this segment by looking at what you might do about it. And of course, the first thing to do about it is to use a VPN. Now, the VPN that I personally use, and I'm not sponsored in any way by Mullvad, but this is my choice, and explain why it's my choice in a second, use a VPN. Now, of course, this doesn't make you anonymous or hide what you're doing, because there'll always be somebody looking at what you're doing. Companies are bulk data collecting in terms of your browsing habits and so on. But what this does is it removes the ability for your internet service provider to collect metadata on what you're doing on the internet, because everything's being tunneled through your virtual private network. So that at least moves the problem away from our government and makes it much more difficult for them to follow what you're doing. It doesn't remove the possibility at all, but it makes it much more difficult. So if we pop that back up, I'll just explain why I think Mullvad is the VPN of choice. And it's this. If you want to pay with cash in an envelope without any name, address, or any other identifying marks, you can do so. So you just go to the Mullvad site, create an account number, and post the account number with your cash in an envelope to them. I'm not aware that any other VPN services allow this to be done. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, a very big tick in the box, aside from the fact that most of their VPN servers, if not all of them by now, don't store any logs because they don't have any hard disks or any other kind of bulk data storage capability. So I just let people know about them because they're relatively compared to others that are sort of talked about on the internet regularly, they're relatively unknown, but they do offer a good service. And as I say, I'm not being paid to say that. That is the one I use. So we'll leave it there. Again, this legislation has gone through without a huge amount of pushback, it seems, from the general public. And I do wonder, perhaps, was that because there was a lack of awareness of what was being done? Let's